Lesson 4, this is page 6 of our this is Brother Sain's material, of course, and lesson number 4 on page 6. Letter C, a divine order, a divine order. In Exodus 14, in verse 15, and the Lord said to Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me, speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. Go forward. It does us no good to hang on to the past. It does us zero good. Everything in the scriptures, everything is about letting go of the past and looking forward to the future while taking care of the things that are before me now. So, do we plan for the future? Absolutely. But it's not here yet. And of course, will it ever arrive? Will the future ever get here?
Lord will.
In one sense, no. The future never gets here because all we have is now. We never have tomorrow. It's never going to get here, okay? So what does that mean? That means that whatever's before me right now, I have to take care of in the very best way possible. What if I fail in taking care of now? Folks, it becomes the past, as the cartoon or animated series or whatever says, let it go. There's nothing you can do about it. When the next opportunity arises to do better, then do better. And so that's all we can do. Go forward. The children of Israel, for the better part of 215 years, had been slaves. Was it going to help them to continue to have a slave mentality? No, that's not going to help them at all. Instead of being slaves, they now have to transition into being and having a conquering mentality. So they're going to leave Egypt as slaves, but they're going to enter into Canaan as conquerors. Now, who is going to help them in that transition? Are they going to have to just come out of whole cloth on that transition? No. God is going to help them to make that transition of being in bondage to being free and a conqueror. So God said to Moses, look, don't cry to me about Pharaoh knocking on your back door there. You go forward. Well, the way looked impossible because what was right there in front of them but the Red Sea? How are we going to get over this Red Sea? Well, there are instructions about how to get across the Red Sea. Verse 16, but lift up thy rod, stretch out thy hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. I'm going to ask this question. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this question, but that's okay. Verse 16 is a great demonstration of what characteristic of God, and it's not his power. It's his relationship to us. He is demonstrating to the children of Israel what? And I'll give you a hint. The word starts with a G. What is this? What's this a demonstration of? It starts with a G. What? Grace. Grace. That's exactly right. This is a demonstration of grace. Do you see it? Let's read the passage again. Verse 15, don't cry to me, you go forward. Verse 16, but lift up thy rod. He's talking to Moses. Moses, you lift up your rod, you stretch out your hand over the sea, and you divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. Do you see God's grace there? No, that's all right. Let me show you. Let me show you God's grace. Because this is what it does. This is how God operates. Moses, you and the children of Israel, you go forward. Lord, we can't go forward because there is this body of water. If we try to go through it, we will drown. That's correct. Yes, that is correct. But then God says, Moses, I'm going to give you a little bit of something that you have to do in order to get through this and not drown. I want you to take your rod and I want you to cast it over and you're going to divide the sea. Now, who actually divided the Red Sea? Did Moses do that? I mean, obviously he didn't. So who was it that divided the Red Sea? God did the work. What work did Moses do to divide the Red Sea? What work did Moses do to divide the Red Sea? I'd like to know. That's it. All he did was obey. He really didn't do any work to divide the Red Sea. Did Moses have the ability to divide the Red Sea? No, he did not. Zero. He had zero ability to do it. Any human being able to do that? Oh, I think I'm just going to park this body of water right here and go on dry ground in between it. Any human being that has ever existed able to do that? Obviously not. That's what we call a rhetorical question. Moses was just a human being. He did not have that ability. All he did was obey. And when he obeyed, because God gives us something to do in that, even as insignificant as it is, we still play a part in our salvation. Moses was playing a part in his salvation, was he not? God didn't just say, okay, now go across. No, he said, Moses, this is what I want you to do. But ultimately, we can see from this vantage point, Moses didn't really do anything. Nothing he did, taking up his rod, stretching his hand out over the sea, he could have said, sea divide 1 trillion times. What would the sea have done? Nothing. Nothing. The power of God is what divided that sea. So when we read this passage, Moses, you lift up your rod, you stretch out your hand over the sea, and you divide it. It was the power of God that divided it, but Moses had to obey. This is God's grace on display. They obeyed. God's power calls them to be saved. So we are able today to do the exact same thing. The exact same thing. We are able to go from not saved to being saved because of what we do. Again, which human being has the power, authority, ability to save him or herself? What human being has that ability? No human being has that ability, do we? No. We have to have God to save us. Only he has that power. Jesus, while he was on the earth, what did he do? He forgave sins. He was able to do it. He had the power, the ability, the authority to do that. He healed the lame man. Oh, he's blaspheming God. He said, no, no, no. Is it easier to forgive sin or to tell someone to rise, take up your bed and walk? What's easier to say, get up and walk and perform that miracle than to actually have the authority to forgive sin, legitimately forgive sins? So when we are baptized in the watery grave of baptism, is that some great work we are doing for salvation? Is that how that works? Absolutely no. Again, just like Moses taking his rod in his hand and putting his hands out over the sea, that doesn't do anything. All of us in this building this morning, either this morning or last night, got all wet. Am I right? Did that do anything for our salvation? No, it did not. No, it did not. There's 2 Peter 3, verse 21. Wherefore unto the like figure, baptism doth also now save us. And then here's the parenthetical. There's a big parenthesis here. Not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward God. In other words, obedience. So baptism is not a bath where, I'm just going to wash away my sins. No, it's obedience. That's the end of the parentheses, by the resurrection of Jesus Christ. There's the power. So baptism saves me. It's not your stretching out your hand that actually divided the water into parentheses, but at the direction, by the power of God. So everything is parallel here. And so we have to look at it in those terms. All right, let's go back to C here, number 1. It will never be enough to simply know there's a way and see the provisions or even to praise the wisdom of him who made it. It must be entered or the enemy of souls will overtake and destroy. And so, we have to go through challenges of life. We have to trudge forward. We have to go forward and rely upon God for his salvation in all things. James 1:22 says there that be ye doers of the word and not hearers only. It doesn't do us any good to come together and study God's word and then not go out there and obey God. Is it good to have an intellectual idea? Okay, this is what God says, this is what God means. Is it nice to have that? Yes, it is. But it does us no good if we do not put that into practice. Moses could have said, Lord, I know you have the ability to divide the Red Sea, and I know that if I, put my hand up and take my rod in my hand and call out for the sea to be divided, I know that would take place. And if he sat down and did nothing because he believed in the power of God, what would it have profited him and the children of Israel? Pharaoh would have just mowed them all down, wouldn't he? It took obedience then for them to be saved. And so we see those things. James chapter 4, here in verse 17, just reiterates, therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. And so we have to do good. We have to be those that go forward and do not look in the past, and hang on to those things, but letting those things go continue. Now, talking about Moses and the children of Israel as they were passing through the Red Sea, here in Hebrews 11, verse 29, by faith and that's interesting because we see a lot of grumbling and complaining out of the children of Israel even in this time. I mean, they were complaining about God bringing them to that particular place, and then they're seeing Pharaoh and the dust cloud of the army, and Lord, you brought us out here to die. And yet, what does the Hebrew writer say? By faith, they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which, when the Egyptians essayed, that is, when the Egyptians attempted to do the very same thing, they were drowned. They did not have faith, and when they did not have faith, then they were drowned in the sea. So they followed the command. Moses did, the children of Israel did, however many individuals there were. they followed by faith. Each step they take will be taken with trust in God and not the things of the world. Can you only imagine I don't know how deep the Red Sea is in that particular area, when you have individuals, I'll just put it that way, when you have individuals say, oh, we found the location where the children of Israel crossed. It's this, mountain or whatever nonsense that it is. My thought is that that's probably not where it was. Wherever they say it was, you're almost guaranteed to say that's not where it was. It was somewhere else. I know that there are a number of places where they say maybe, that the crossing was, wherever it actually was, it was from the Egyptian side, and technically that's the Gulf of Aqaba there, isn't it? That little particular arm that's on the western side of the Sinai Peninsula. And so that they did cross from the Egyptian side through that, what we call the Gulf of Aqaba, onto the Sinai Peninsula. That's what happened. Because when they found them, they found themselves there, they did not have very far to go from when they landed on the other side to get to Mount Sinai. It just was not that far. So, so they did, they didn't cross some little stream or wadis, W-A-D-I. Wadis are predominant in those areas, and a wadi is a temporary stream. So when it does, it's a stream bed, but it rarely has water in it. It only has water when it rains every so often. And it will fill up with water and only have water, kind of like snow here, It'll snow and then the next day it's not there anymore, or the same day even. That's essentially what a wadi is. It's just a trough. So when it does rain every great once in a while, that's where the water goes. They did not cross over a wadi. I mean, no army is going to drown in a wadi, okay? So they did exactly what the Bible says that occurred. They crossed through the Red Sea. And if you can imagine, and perhaps you have, as I have, that I wonder if they saw fish swimming, like a great aquarium. If you've ever been to, now I don't know if they have it, how long have I lived here? I've never been to the aquarium out, is that on Emerald Isle, that aquarium? Fort Fisher, yeah. How many of you have been to that? Jennifer, we are behind the times, girl. I'm telling you what. Everybody's been there. Everybody.
It's closing in March, just so you know.
Oh, it's closing in March. Oh, okay. Now, we have been to the ultra expensive Georgia Aquarium. Anywho, the aquarium out there on Emerald Isle, does it have a place, a little tunnel, and so the fish are swimming all over you, above you and everything? Yeah, okay. So Georgia Aquarium also has that situation too. So anyway, that's kind of a neat scenario. In a sense, I wonder if that's very similar to what the children of Israel are kind of experiencing.
I can see our kids, our grandchildren, all that. It's like my little Jackson. I can see him picking up rocks, throwing it in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I can just see that.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's what children would do, and more than half of us men. Don't do that. You know who's saying that, don't you? So I can also imagine that very thing, because that's a very human thing to be done. And so I do believe that was the case. I believe that they saw those those fish and the wonder of all those things. As they passed, as they were going on dry land, as though that land had never had water on it before. That's what they passed on. And so, but they did that by faith. And it was the barest minimum of faith. But that doesn't matter. That does not matter. They did it because Moses was their leader. He had great faith. And he led the people through. They were leaning on his faith even, if you will. And they made it through. The Egyptians did not. Because they did not have faith in God. They did not regard him as the God of heaven. And as a result, then, they were destroyed. And so we, too, then need to have faith in God and not the things of the world. Not money, not circumstances, not and the intelligence. Is there intelligence in the world? Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Let me tell you, this artificial intelligence, does it scare you beyond belief, by the way? It ought to. It ought to. Not because it's intelligent and it's going to grow a mind of its own and take over everything, Skynet. Thank you, Jason. See?
Skynet.
See? You got to throw that in there every once in a while, right? You got to throw it in there. That's not going to happen. What is going on now is the problem where it is helping human beings to do their thinking. And so it is helping human beings to be transgender. It is helping human beings to commit suicide. It is helping human beings to commit murder. All of those things, AI is helping human beings because it's directionless. It's foundationless. And when you have advice that's not based on any foundation, look, even the most atheistic counselor has a base of ethics. Even they do that. But AI does not. AI does not have any ethics. And so, that's really is the problem. There's no morality, no foundation in those things. So yeah, we definitely should be scared of what is deemed artificial intelligence. It's not really intelligence, it's what we put in there, of course. It's the human, AI is the human mind gone amok. That's what it is. So just, you put that under your hat and you keep track of it, okay? Yes, sir.
I was also going to add to this that AI can do it because it can create images and even look exactly like individuals that we know and tell us what to do or suggest what we should do.
Right.
Because it looks so real to many people.
Right, absolutely. That's the problem too, is it looks real. It feels real, but it is not real. It is, television, the internet, AI, it's all the same thing. It's all, they're products of the human mind, and there are some uses as tools, there are some positive uses of those things. Every single one of those things, there are positive uses. But is the devil complacent with those tools of humanity? No, he's going to use those things and turn them into something for his purposes, not for good. And so that obviously is what he has done. And we ought not be surprised by that. I mean, I don't think anybody is surprised by that, are we? Those of us who know kind of a thing or two about living in life. Faith obviously has to be our foundation, not whatever human morality, not what society says, but actual biblical morality. I don't know if we are genuinely seeing any kind of going back to the Bible. If we are, it's probably short-lived, as it always is. So it's not like we can think, oh, things are actually turning out okay now. No, I'm not going to be comfortable with that. You probably are not comfortable with that either. But we do have to understand that without faith, it is impossible to please God. We have to have faith, trust in Him, that He will be with us through the challenging times of life. For he that cometh to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. So when we come to God and we have faith in Him, it's because we trust Him and know that He will divide the waters. He has the ability, He has the power to do that. And so we lean on Him. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7, Paul, reiterates there that we walk by faith and not by sight. What does that mean to you? We walk by faith and not by sight. What does that mean to you?
We know that God will take care of us if we follow His commands.
Know that God will take care of us if we follow His commands? That's excellent. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Trust in God. That's right.
To ignore the worldly things around us and just do what God tells us to.
There we go. To ignore the worldly things around us and just do what God tells us to do. Because here's the thing, Jason, is that the world puts up, like AI, by the way, it's all deceit. It's all fake. There's nothing real in it. It's the veritable paper tiger, if you will. So there's no substance in it. There's no joy. There's no lasting happiness. None of those things. Because that's what it says. Isn't that what the world tells us? Oh, if you have this much money, you'll be happy. If you have this kind of relationship, you'll be happy. If you live in this particular area, you'll be all these things. Now, are any of those things true? None of those things are true. Some of the most unhappy people are the very wealthiest in the world. They are so unhappy. And relationships, if a relationship is not based on the Word of God, guess what? Oh, well, this is the perfect match for me because he is just the most beautiful man that there ever was. I'll tell you a very, very quick story. One of my cousins got married. And I looked at said beautiful man that she married. And I said to myself, that'll be about 3 years. A year and a half later, they were divorced. All I did was just look at them. That's it. Didn't know anything about them. Nothing. Divorced. That's it. Because why she was marrying him. Wrong reason. Wrong reason. And when you marry for the wrong reason, bad things are going to happen. That's just all there is to it. That is, unfortunately, why even sometimes you marry a Christian. If you marry a Christian, that's good. But if you can still marry for the wrong reason, that's still a possibility. And so, divorce is around the corner. All those things are fake. And so what we have to do is say, okay, what I'm seeing with my physical eyes, that's not real. I have to look at things through God's eyes. And I'm going to trust in Him that what He sees is real. That's walking by faith. And we have to do our very best. That's easier said than done, right? Because in one sense, we trust ourselves, in one sense, And then, you know, some senses I don't know if I trust my eyes, what I'm seeing. Sometimes when I get up in the morning, I look outside, and anybody been in my house? You know what kind of yard I have? Leaves and leaves and more leaves.
You don't have to cut your grass.
I do not have to cut my grass. Well, there was one blade that popped up and I made Jennifer cut it. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, I'll very early in the morning, or maybe it's late at night, and there's a moon out, a full moon, and I'm seeing all these things. You know what you can see when you have a bunch of leaves and sticks and all kinds of stuff in your yard? You know what you can see? All kind of things. All kind of things. You can see critters. You can see anything you can imagine. You can see it. It's like looking at the clouds. You can see stuff in the clouds. And then 5 seconds later, you realize that what you're seeing was about 5 clouds as they were kind of merging. Some of them very far away from each other. But our eyes can deceive us, can't they? And I'll have to think, okay, I know what my brain is trying to tell me it is seeing, but that's not what it is seeing. Have you ever done that? You saw something, you say, okay, that's not what that is. That's what we have to do every day in life as we look at situations, look at life experiences or circumstances. This is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing, but that's not the reality of the situation. Or the outcome of this is not really this outcome. When I look at it through the perspective of God, it's really going to be this outcome. And so that's what faith does. It takes away the deceit and enters into it truth. D. Quail and manna were given. So unstable were the people even after seeing the plagues. There were 10 of them, and God saved them from the last one. Crossing the Red Sea, they crossed through the Red Sea, and that's what he meant there. They wished to be again in Egypt and enjoy the flesh pots, all of the things, the food that they had enjoyed back in Egypt. Again, can you imagine, as Dave said just a few minutes ago, throwing rocks into wall of water as you walked on dry, because I'm just taking that figure. I love that, by the way. You have 2 walls of water on both sides of you. You're walking on dry land. You see a rock. You're going to pick it up. You're going to throw it into, and the wall doesn't move. But the rock goes right through it because it's water. I mean, it's not like the property, was altered in any sort of way. Anyway, maybe they skipped it. Anyway, okay. See, you got me thinking that. So they did that. They had those experiences. That really happened. And then they get to the other side. Pharaoh's army is drowned. And now they're complaining, we want to go back to Egypt. Does that make sense to anybody in this room? Does that make sense to you? That's not going to make sense to me. Why would I want to go back? Look at what we just experienced. Look at the conversations with the Lord that were had over however many months or years that it was from the water turning to blood. When Moses came back, the water turning to blood, to now we're on close to Mount Sinai on the other side of the Red Sea. I mean, that's a lot of faith experiences there. And yet, that didn't seem to matter. And the children of Israel said unto them, this is Exodus 16:3, would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full, for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Is that why he brought them in there? To kill them by hunger?
They even had the visual of the fire and the cloud, to keep reminding them.
Absolutely. I mean, God's presence was ever before them in the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire. Absolutely. I mean, they had a miracle happening on a constant basis. How many people ask for miracles today? If there was just a miracle, I'd believe in the Lord. No, you wouldn't. And if you believed on him, do you know how short-lived that faith would be? That would be so short-lived. And the next life situation that caused you to not believe in the Lord, the very next life situation that came up, guess what? Right back to what you believed or didn't believe before. So people's attitudes did not change. Their attitude did not change here. When they got hungry, they wanted to go back to Egypt and their old life. But God continued to help and continue to provide for them. Verse 4. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven. Oh, that's nice. And the people shall go out, they gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. So God is going to provide for them, but is it just to fill their bellies? What does he say here? I'm going to provide for them, but there's also a test with this. There's a test of, are they still going to walk in my ways? Because are there laws concerning manna? There are laws concerning manna, because they were to gather each day, just for that day. That was rule number 1. And on the 6th day, they were to gather twice as much, because there would be none on the 7th day. So there were laws that whatever they gathered on that one day, then they had to eat all of that or throw it out. And then on the 6th day, they were to gather twice as much for that day and the Sabbath day, because they weren't to do any work on the Sabbath day. By the way, that hadn't been instituted yet. That has not been instituted yet. That will not be instituted until the giving of the law of Moses. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So there was a little bit of time in between the giving of manna and the Sabbath day being instituted. But see, God already knew that the Sabbath day was going to be instituted. So he already provided for that ahead of time. Because, God's smart. I mean, I know that's kind of a dumb thing to say, but yet, I don't know.
He was getting them used to the change before he made it.
Yeah, there you go. He was preparing them. He was preparing them. Hey, this is what's coming. This is what's coming. But God does that. He does that for us. He doesn't just make something happen and say, okay, you got to change right now or whatever. There's some preparation for those things. Because he understands us. He understands us better than we understand ourselves. Obviously, that is the case. They must have their heart weaned from Egypt's influence so that they could be satisfied with or enjoy that bread from heaven, that light bread that tastes just a little bit like honey. And of course, they were able to take that bread and make all kind of different things with it too. And so on it, they could eat it on its own, or they could, the woman of the house, which is what was going to happen, the woman of the house could take that bread and make all kind of different things with it. And so that's what was expected, and that's what happened for the most part. And yet, of course, they still complained, even though there was bread outside for them. And it kind of reminds you of some of our homeless around here. If you give them something, they don't like it, they'll tell you real quick, won't they? They have so much food given to them, they'll tell you, I don't eat that. Oh, okay. This is which God gave, this that God gave was sufficient for the journey. And they were able to live on this bread. It gave them life. As you know, bread, obviously bread gives us life today. The bread of life, John 6:35, Jesus said, I am the bread of life, is furnished for everyone today. God has given us our daily bread. God has given us Jesus and his sacrifice that we might live each day. Christ is sufficient to satisfy the longing soul, Psalm 107, verse 9. And Christ is sufficient to supply all of our needs, Philippians 4 and verse 19. Well, there's some great things, some great applications that we can take from Exodus. We see God's grace, but we also see how that through the lives of the children of Israel and the things that they went through, how that spiritually translates to today. How we go through the challenges of life. We must be obedient and trust in the Lord that he's going to get us through each day, through our lives, so that when this life is over, heaven will be our eternal abode. Really appreciate the wonderful comments and your kind attention this morning. We're going to take a short break, of course, and at the top of the hour, come back and worship our God together.